Harrowing stories of mistreatment have emerged from the Human Rights Commission's report into Australian gymnastics. It exposed a toxic culture that failed to prioritise the safety of athletes for decades, mainly young girls, and allowed abuse to thrive.
A bombshell report.
Gymnastics Australia unreservedly apologises to all athletes and family members who've had any form of abuse participating in our sport.
An acknowledgement.
The report is confronting.
And a commitment.
The time for transformational cultural change begins now.
The Australian Human Rights Commission has released a report uncovering a toxic culture in gymnastics. The independent review found the sport contributed to the physical, emotional and sexual abuse of young athletes.
The abuse occurred over a period of time around the age of 8 to 9 years old. This man abused me in various ways, often with my mum in the room. I would lie face down on the massage table with tears streaming down my face in silence.
It exposes a focus on winning at all costs, silencing the athlete's voice, and an unhealthy focus on the ideal body. Also revealed an acceptance of archaic and authoritarian coaching practices.
She stretched me to the point I wanted to die. The pain was excruciating.
When we were being stretched in the gym, he would have an erection, which I would feel him pushing repetitively on my hips or back while grunting and sighing.
More than 200 interviews uncovered horrendous stories of abuse, medical neglect and fat shaming.
The first time I was called fat at the AIS, I was 11 years old and weighed 22 kilograms.
Around 2/3 of the more than 320,000 participants in gymnastics nationwide are female. 91% are under the age of 12. And for decades, victims of the sport have been crying out for help.
I feel like finally we've been heard. This is the first step.
This report comes at a time of global reckoning for the sport of gymnastics.
The scathing review comes in the wake of the Athlete A documentary about a former US gymnastics team doctor. Larry Nassar was convicted of sexually assaulting more than 260 young women and girls. Similar inquiries have also been conducted in the UK and New Zealand. Gymnastics Australia says it will act on all 12 of the report's recommendations, but couldn't explain why sporting authorities, including those funded by taxpayers, failed to investigate and act on complaints until now.
I don't have a good answer to that question.
There needs to be redress for athletes who are affected by the abuse.
As for compensation,
frankly, it's not something we've considered to this point.
Shelley Lee, Sky News.
Gymnastics Australia unreservedly apologises to all athletes and family members who've had any form of abuse participating in our sport.